African American history in the Army is Army history. From Crispus Attucks' sacrifice in the American Revolution and Jackie Robinson during World War II, to Lieutenant General Gary Brito, former commanding general of the Maneuver Center of Excellence, and Medal of Honor nominee Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash, African Americans have sacrificed and overcome great obstacles while honorably serving in our nation's Army, putting country before color. America has always had African Americans serving in the armed forces. During the Civil War in 1863, through General Orders 143, the War Department created the Bureau of Colored Troops and organized the United States Colored Troops, which consisted of infantry, cavalry, and artillery regiments. The USCT was disbanded after the war, with 16 African Americans receiving the Medal of Honor. African Americans continued to serve in wars throughout America's history. The Buffalo Soldiers of the 9th and 10th Cavalry Regiments, as well as the 24th and 25th Infantry Regiments, served in the Indian War. Segregated National Guard and Volunteer Regiments also served in the Spanish-American War and the Philippine-American War. World War I saw a surge in African Americans wanting to serve and fight for their country. More than 200,000 black soldiers served on the Western Front, while more than 170,000 remained in the United States. But because America didn't want black soldiers fighting under the U.S. flag, segregated units such as the 92nd and 93rd Infantry Divisions, more especially the Harlem Hellfighters of the 369th Infantry Regiment, were assigned to fight under other countries' flags. Still, black soldiers fought valiantly, with 171 soldiers from the 369th receiving the Legion of Merit while fighting under the French flag. During World War II, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt issued Executive Order 8802 on June 25, 1941, prohibiting ethnic or racial discrimination in the nation's defense industry. Soon after, more and more African Americans began to enlist in the Army. In 1943, at Fort Benning, Georgia, the 555th Parachute Infantry Battalion was activated. Originally called the Buffalo Nickels due to their number designation and that most of the soldiers were Buffalo soldiers from the 92nd Infantry Division, the Triple Nickels became the first black paratrooper unit in the Army. The unit was later deactivated in 1947, with many of those same soldiers forming the 2nd Ranger Infantry Company at Fort Benning, Georgia. Nicknamed the Buffalo Rangers, they were the first African American Ranger Battalion. The Buffalo Rangers were the first Rangers to conduct a combat jump. In 1940, the Army promoted Benjamin Davis Sr. to the rank of Brigadier General, making him the first African American general in history. In 1941, the United States Army Air Corps formed the 99th Pursuit Squadron, consisting of 476 African American pilots from the Tuskegee Airmen Experiment.
He goes up the night to heaven, the Axis fight, 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 fighting 99.
The 99th would later form the 332nd Fighting Group, nicknamed the Red Tails. The Red Tails were commanded by Benjamin Davis Jr., who would later become the first African American promoted to Brigadier General in the United States Air Force. As the war pushed on, the 761st Tank Battalion, which consisted of future Medal of Honor awardees Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers and Sergeant Warren G.H. Creasy, deployed to the shores of Omaha Beach at the request of General George S. Patton, who was desperately in need of ground power support. The 761st became the first black tank battalion to see combat.
Now, men, you are the first Negro tankers to ever fight in the American Army. I would never have asked for you if you weren't good. I have nothing but the best in my army. I don't care what color you are, so long as you go up there and kill those Kraut sons of bitches. Everyone has their eyes on you and is expecting great things from you. Most of all, your race is looking forward to your success. Don't let them down. And damn you, don't let me down!
Though his words inspired the Black Tankers, Patton publicly expressed his lack of faith in the 761st's capabilities. Even after their successes, Patton still expressed his disapproval of the 761st in a letter to his wife. Individually, they were good soldiers, but a colored soldier cannot think fast enough to fight in armor. On June 26, 1948, President Harry S. Truman issued Executive Order 9981, abolishing discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, or national origin in the United States Armed Forces.
There is no justifiable reason for discrimination because of ancestry, or religion, or race, or color.
While the order received considerable pushback, the last segregated units were finally disbanded in 1954. The Army would continue to be progressive in integrating its ranks while striving for equality for soldiers and their families. The Army would grow to see that loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage are values inherent in every soldier, regardless of color. Because tomorrow's past is now in the making, and the sacrifices of heroes will not have been in vain, the Army continues to build a legacy of training highly qualified soldiers and outstanding military leaders.